This film festival will focus on movies that portray color and meaning in film. In particular, how color can denote to a certain emotion or feeling that the character is having. Every color palette clues the audience to not only how the characters are feeling, but how the viewers should also be feeling. The first movie I'll be looking at is All That Heaven Allows by Douglas Sirk. This film fits in the film festival as it expresses extreme emotions that are matched with extreme stylistic choices, in particular color. This film is a melodrama which relies heavily on extreme emotional states that is only enhanced with the saturated colors. A constant opposition between warm and cool tones. Sirk is clearly inspired by German Expressionism, which also uses color to explore class relations and wealth. This film focuses on family dynamics, and in this film, love is controlled by external forces rather than the classic love conquers all. Technicolor is used as a way for Carrie to see what is around her. As her emotions shift, so do the color palettes. The next film is Vertigo by Alfred Hitchcock. This film utilizes the color wheel and contrasting shades within the wheel, such as red and green, to communicate feelings, thus suggesting certain emotions upon the audience. Red meaning danger and green conveying envy. The colors are crucial to the color palette as it is almost woven into the narrative and the viewer can notice its absence. These two colors in particular are so important in guiding the viewer through feelings, but also becoming a part of the physical storyline. Throughout the film, green plays a crucial role as it demonstrates its fears, those being fears of falling and falling in love. When you think of vertigo, you tend to think of green, nausea, which ultimately reflects one's fear of heights, which could ultimately make them feel sick. The next film is The Red Shoes. The Red Shoes aesthetic and use of color allowed for different emotions enacted by the characters, then relaying that onto the viewer. Each frame has a rich color palette that gives a tone of artificiality, switching from a world of elegance and classic ballet pink slippers to one with vibrant costumes and dramatic makeup and red ballet slippers that help lure us into this other world. The colors of the film work hand in hand with the main character herself, as she has bright red hair and very pale skin, which is often the backdrop colors used throughout the film. With the use of Technicolor, it adds another layer of richness onto the ballet performances that help convey and create emotional meaning. In Django Unchained, this film, Quentin Tarantino uses extravagant colors throughout the journey of Django. The high-spirited use of color works in hand with Tarantino's love of gruesomeness, as the colors accentuate all actions and help the viewer be entertained rather than frightened by the excessive violence that would normally scare a person. The vibrant colors allow for a more comedic feel in such a graphic film. The next film is The Shining by Stanley Kubrick. We see the heavy use of two primary colors, red and blue. Red symbolizes the mental transition that Jack and the other characters experience throughout the film. Whenever red is emphasized, it represents and connects to the deaths that are currently taking place or will happen. The color blue represents a sense of innocence and naiveness. These colors ultimately help the viewer understand the emotions of the character. The next film is Birdman. In this film, many scenes rely heavily on the use of color to communicate a character's emotions. For instance, as Sam gets upset with her father, the color yellow, in full sensory overload, is used to convey the feelings of judgment, betrayal, or anger. We see blue then used as a signifier of something that may not be real, more of a dream sequence. Each of these strong colors made the drama of the film much more intense and relayed emotion onto the viewer. Next is Lost in Translation. Throughout this film, Coppola uses subtle muted colors to represent loneliness. Both main characters deal with heavy individual burdens. These lifeless colors represent the initial spirits of the two characters as they inevitably are alone in a foreign place. Eventually, as their relationship develops, so does the vibrancy of the colors that surround them. It changes from a drained aesthetic to a more lush one. The next movie is Her by Spike Jonze. On the surface, the film is primarily monochromatic with shades of red, but in flashbacks or meetings with other people or relationships, these begin to change. We see Samantha is represented by red, and his ex-wife represented by blue. This red is a clear connection to the notion of love and all things positive, the blue being of sadness and uncomfortableness. Both of these colors allow the viewer to understand how Theodore feels in a given time and how he stands in his relationship with others. The next film is Corpse Bride by Tim Burton. He persistently uses the colder version of a blue palette in this gothic horror animated film. Bright colors stand out due to the fact that he avoids utilizing them. We only see bright colors in the underworld, where compared to the living land of where the humans are, it is dark and dreary and overrun with monochromatic blue tones. The juxtaposition of the worlds and colors help emphasize the emotions and well-beings of the characters within both of them. The last film is The Revenant. This film uses a range of cold hues that help communicate the rawness and pain that the main character is going through. The audience is supposed to feel the coldness and loneliness that Hugh also feels. Taking from a monochromatic circle of blue, it accentuates the high stakes and severity of the conditions and represents the hardships that he is bearing. This allows us to see and understand where the character is in time and space and feel as if we are there next to them, freezing as well.